not persuaded. First of all, okay, there are three things that you said that I'm not completely persuaded of. One is that you never learned anything. When you say you're uneducated, you spoke a language, you knew your neighborhood that you lived in, you learned how to eat and what foods to make. You learned lots of things from the people around you. There's no way you could have survived had you not learned. That's one. Wait, I'm not done. Number two, I want you to know that when I had a child, I didn't want to teach her the ways that I was that didn't work for me. I rather wanted to teach her the joy that I found in the world and the beauty. And I teach her poetry and I teach her wonder. And I think a lot of what I teach her expands her. I'm sure I've taught her some things that she would say, gee, I wish you hadn't taught me that. But I really do believe that most parents want to teach their children not the things that didn't work for them, but rather the things that they found in the world that are extraordinary and wonderful.
No, I did not mean didn't work in that sense. See, the only thing about the adults or the parents is, the only qualification you have is you landed here a few years earlier,
Yes.
all right? Nothing else. Hello? Isn't that so?
Yes.
You just came here a little early. So what do you know? You know a few survival tricks that the child does not know. If you want to teach them business, you want to teach them how to survive in the world, fine, you know better than them, of course. But as life, the reason why everybody loves a child is because child is a better life than the adult. In every way. Just as life, maybe he doesn't have your intellect, maybe he's not accumulated the nonsense that you've accumulated, maybe he does not know how to survive in the world, but as a life, he is far more exuberant and alive than you are. That is why it doesn't matter whose child, when you see a child, you light up, because it's life. Even the grave-faced people get ignited. All right?
You know?
So, when I say teaching children something that did not work in their life, it is not that your survival tricks did not work, obviously they worked for you, that's what you want to teach, because you're concerned about the child's survival, all right? You're concerned, what will happen to him, this is the only thing. See, when people have children, they only have moments of joy, rest of the time it's only anxiety, what will happen, what will happen, what will happen. Yes, because it's all about survival. So if you even… I'm trying to look at this comprehensively, even if you just examine the prayers on the planet, this says everything about the adults. 95% of the prayers on the planet are just about, dear God, give me this, give me that, save me, protect me. Does it sound like survival or divine expansion? Maybe only 5% is there. 95% is only save me, protect me, give me this, give me that, isn't it? This is all survival process, outsourced.
Well, yeah, I admit that you are the first person that I know who preaches a desire to uneducate people. And I understand what you're saying, that there is a pure life to a baby, but I don't believe that pure lifedness can exist in an adult the same way it does in a child. I said the same way that it does in a child. No, look, you're a man, in all seriousness, you're a man who has political savvy, you've written books, you travel and speak. There is a certain sophistication to your lack of sophistication that I think is quite right. Seems to be pretty clear. I'm not suggesting, oh, you're just like everybody else. But I also think that maybe you are overplaying the extent to which civilization is a bad idea.
No.
I think it's usually a pretty good idea, often.
No. Civilization is organization of basic human intent, just an organized structure. But organization can also get suffocating for the growth.
No question.
Of an individual life.
Yes.
When you are 5 years of age, let's say, when all of you were 5 years of age, how joyful, exuberant and alive you were, and how you are today. Though for all of you, I can see life has worked out very well, better than you would have imagined for many of you. In spite of that, compared to how you were 5 years of age and today how you are, has it gone down or not? See, I want you to understand. With age, only physical agility can go down. Aliveness need not go down. Hello? So are you trying to die in installments? That's all I'm asking you.
It seemed foolish to do it all at once, so I thought I would do it gradually over time. But what I would say is, also, I'm not sure that I would privilege aliveness over everything else, because I might be less alive than I was when I was 5 years old. But I wouldn't go back to being 5, because I have so much now that I did not have as a 5-year-old, and some of it, like sad memories, ways in which I've hurt other people, ways in which I've hurt myself, some of it is stuff that may diminish my life, but I also think has made me wiser, broader, more empathetic, more sympathetic, deeper, all of those things. So I don't see this as a one-way street.
See, essentially, you are trying to, prescribe some amount of suffering for everybody so that they become wiser.
No, I'm saying that a certain amount of suffering is inevitable, and once it happens to you, I'm not sure, you wouldn't choose it, but I'm not sure that once it happens, when you look back on it, you would say, it didn't actually allow me, in some ways, to deepen myself. I don't think that that's unfamiliar to your religious tradition. It certainly isn't to mine.
No, I was just about to clarify that. When I said I came with an advantage, I did not belong to any tradition as such. I did not identify with any tradition, nor they could put me into any tradition. This is all I did. I did not identify myself with anything. Just to tell you to what extent. I was around maybe 12 years of age, and in India, our mothers and parents generally, they're not given to everyday profess, I love you, this and that. There is no verbal expression of love. They live for us. We know the question of whether they love us or not doesn't arise because their lives are about us. So, it never occurs whether they love us, don't love us, such things don't even exist. It is just their lives are dedicated to us, so we know they live for us. So, when I'm around 12 years of age, some tender moment and not exactly I love you, but in some way she expressed her affections towards me. I'm in that mode at that time, struggling, that I made sure that I don't belong anywhere, but at the same time I'm extremely involved with everything. So I just asked, it was a natural question for me. I asked her, suppose I was born in the next house, would you still feel this way about me? She just teared up. I didn't know what I said wrong. I thought I just asked a question. But somehow she just teared up and went away. And after 10 minutes she came back and she did something very strange. She came and touched my feet and she was all in tears. I didn't know what to say. I said, what did I do wrong? I just asked a question. But when I look back later on, when things changed within myself, I saw that she saw the point, she got it in such a profound way, because it is true that her affections are simply because I am her son, not as a life, not as just another being. If I was somebody else, she wouldn't feel the same way. When she realized that, she just kind of, an expansion is also cracking up, The eggshell has to crack for something new to come out. So, I just kept… See, if your intelligence is not aligned or associated or identified with anything, it is natural for human intelligence to seek relentlessly. Seeking relentlessly means without any purpose. See, the difference between… because you mentioned the word mysticism, The difference between mysticism and other ways of doing things is, everybody is trying to find something. A scientist is trying to find something. Somebody who's walking the street right now is trying to find something of their own needs. Every human being, every animal is trying to find something, maybe food, maybe shelter, maybe whatever. So if you have a torchlight, if you have a… what do you call this? Flashlight. If you have a flashlight, you have focused light, you're trying to find something. You only see this person or this person or this person. What mysticism means is, you blew your flashlight, it became a flare. You saw everything the way it is. And after that, you are never the same again.
Some people in the group, to hear you, have sent up some questions, and I'd like to ask you some of the questions that were… many of which touch on themes that we have talked about. We talked about death. Do you believe… I know you don't like the word…
I do… I will die.
that there is an afterlife?
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to ask me whether I will die or not. I will.
Not, God willing, for a long time.
The question is there a life after death? I think some things you know best only by experience. But we've already gone through this. It's very clear that we gathered this body. It's very clear we gathered these impressions of the mind. If we have to gather so much, there must be something more fundamental, whatever it is. Something must be more fundamental than physical body and the mental structure. So, essentially, the question that you're asking is not about what happens after death. The question that you're asking is, what is the nature of my existence? Is it not very important that you should know this here, now, when you're alive? So if I tell you, yes, there is life after death, if it is comfortable for you, you believe me, or you will disbelieve me. If you believe me, you will not get any closer to truth. If you disbelieve me, you will not get any closer to truth. All you will have is, you will have a fancy story to tell. Sometimes pleasant story if you believe, if you disbelieve, a nasty story about me. But nothing about your experience of life will change, isn't it? You can believe what I say, you can disbelieve what I say. So I will never put anybody into that obscenity that they have to believe me or disbelieve me. All I'm doing is, where your experience is, stretching it to the next level of experience. Once you taste the next level, I am 100% guaranteed you will want to taste the next and the next and the next. I have no this thing about it. Today, millions of people are following without promise of something elsewhere, no promise of anything. All I'm saying is, see, generally you can gather people if you create an enemy. If I say all your troubles is because of these people, then I can gather all these people. But this entire thing is about, there is only one problem in your life, that's yourself. In spite of that, people have gathered. Hats off to the people, because that much sense has dawned on the planet.
And if you had that child before you, and you could give them advice for life before they've been educated out of it, what would you tell them?
I think the best thing is, I tell you how I raised my own girl. So, when she started traveling with me when she was 3.5 months old, me and her, just two of us driving a car and traveling across the country with a little baby bundled up, and one hand on the thing, and my right leg is always heavy. In India, we have no speed limits, we are a free nation. So, this freedom is extended, people drive on both sides of the street and whichever way, they're testing my mystical powers. Some of them are busy testing their horoscopes. Somebody has told them you live to be 80, the guy is testing it out today on the street, whether it works or not. All these things. So, I'm constantly in new homes and, with various families, wherever I go. I'm crisscrossing India at that time, driving an average of 125 to 150,000 kilometers per year. This is the time I'm building Isha Foundation across the country. So, this girl grew up like this, largely in the car, in many homes. So then I saw adults were so interested in teaching her something. If they see the child, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, Mary had a little lamb, they will start. I said, nobody will teach her anything. No ABC, no 1, 2, 3, no Mary had a little lamb. Then they said, this girl won't even know how many fingers she has. I said, I don't care whether she knows how many fingers she has or not, as long as she knows how to use them. She thinks this is a million, what's my problem? She knows how to use them. And I don't care whether Mary had a lamb or not. So I made this rule, nobody teach her anything. So, this girl, see, this is the beautiful thing about children, when you don't teach them anything, they're just wanting to drink life. By the time she's 18 months old, she speaks 3 languages fluently, because nobody's teaching her anything, no ABC, no nothing. And by the time she's 4.5 years of age, I've actually checked this, she remembers over 800 names of people, adults, and she thinks they're all her friends. She just sits down and making phone calls after phone calls to all of them and having long conversations with them. Because she doesn't know that she's a child and they're adult, she thinks they're all her friends. So she grew up like this. I wouldn't have sent her to school, but my schedules went crazy. So I put her to a school where there's very little of schooling. So, she's around 13 years of age. Something happened in the school that was disturbing for her. She came home and she was a bit disturbed. She came up to me and said, you're teaching everybody so many things, you're not telling me anything. I said, well, I'm not known to do things unsolicited. Now that you've come, let us see, sit down here. And I said, this is all, it's very simple. Don't look up to anybody. She looked at me like this, saying, what about you, kind of thing. I said, especially me. If you look up to me, you'll miss the whole point. All you will do is maybe make a photograph of me and nail me to the wall. You have to see me as I am. If you see me as I am, there is much for you. If you look up to me, you'll miss the whole point. And don't look down on anybody. Don't look up to anybody, don't look down on anybody, this is all. Then you will see life just the way it is. If you see life just the way it is, you will navigate your way absolutely effortlessly. At the age of 15, I took her out of school and she went into classical dance. Now she's a well-known dancer in India, very no education. That's a time when, all her friends in school, somebody is going to Harvard, somebody is going to Stanford, all this. She said, I want to do law in Harvard. I said, see, just don't go by this, I'll take you around a journey. So I traveled, I took her to Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, MIT, West Virginia University, Stanford University. I said, see, this is what you got. Just spend time. And then I took her to this very traditional dance school. And the way the children were, she sat there and she wept. I said, what? She said, I'll join up here. I said, it's great because there the monthly fee was 162 rupees per month, which is $2 per month. I said, this is a great choice you made.
And you said you didn't learn anything. I had asked you this actually earlier because I really want to understand, and I don't understand, the conception of God that you have, or gods that you have. And we had talked about it before, and I wonder if there's some way that you can explain to us how you think or how you understand God, gods, the divine. Do you have a conception of that? And if so, what is it?
So when we say conception, we are referring to concepts. When we say concepts, obviously they're constructed in our minds, whatever our concepts are. Probably you're referring to the 33 million gods and goddesses of India. These 33 million happened when our population was 33 million. Since then, because of Western influence and Western education, we've become little shy of creating gods. We must understand this, in India, in the northern part of India, these terminologies have been lost because of invasions and the kind of beating that northern India has taken over a period of time. But in southern India, still, a deity or a… See, the word God doesn't belong to India, we don't have such a word actually. There's no the God word anywhere. We call them Bhagwan. Bhagwan means a blessed being. That's the highest word we kind of have, there is no the God word anywhere. So, these deities are referred to as yantras. The word yantra literally translates into a machine or an instrument. So these are instruments to access different dimensions of life. See, we as human beings, we are who we are today in this world. One thing that's really worked for us is the tools that we created, isn't it? For example, maybe many of you've seen, I think there was an image of that in the video. There is Dhyana Linga, which is called a temple. It's called a yogic temple or a multi-religious temple. When I'm speaking, if I refer to the Dhyana Linga as a tool, some devotees get very hurt. Sadhguru, don't call it a tool, it's more than our life. I say, that's fine. If you think I'm offending you by calling Dhyana Linga a tool, you do one thing, you come to the yoga center, I'll give you plumbing job, 3 days. You do it, I won't give you any tools. Just with your bare hands, you can use your teeth. In 3 days' time, all your nails will be gone, some of your teeth will be gone. Then if I give you a spanner, will you worship it or no? Hello? Yes. It's the tools. It is the tools. Right now, I'm speaking here, it is the instrument called microphone which is really speaking to you. Otherwise, if I spoke here, these 10 people would hear, the people behind would poke them and what did he say, what did he say? They would say whatever the hell they wanted to the person behind. This is how it happened in ancient times. Because only these 10-15 people heard. See, today microphone. Why? Because we can speak. To enhance speech, we got microphone. That is not good enough, we made a telephone. We have vision, so we made a microscope, we made a telescope. Because we can walk, we made a bicycle, we made a car, we made an airplane, we made all kinds of things. If you were made like a tree, rooted to one place, would you have thought of a bicycle, I'm asking? No. Because every instrument or every machine that we have created is only an extension of our existing faculties. We have not created anything absolutely new. Everything is just an extension of our existing faculties. So the deities are like this, they're made for different purposes. For every kind of purpose in life, there is one deity. So if you want money, there's one deity. If you want power, there's another deity. You want knowledge, there's another deity. You want love, there's another deity. You want to be fearless, there's another deity. Like this for everything. Just to cap that, you've heard of Ramanujam, have you? No, the mathematician? There was a movie about him.
Yeah.
I saw that movie here in Los Angeles, I think. You know Ramanujam? So Ramanujam is late 19th century and early 20th century, 1911 or 1912, he died, I think.
Very
He was
young.
born… Huh?
Very young.
Yes. He was born in Tamil Nadu, where we are, in the southern state. He started pouring out mathematics. He's a devotee of a particular female deity. And he started pouring out books and books of mathematics, no training of any kind. So some English professor identified this and sent him to England, Oxford, right?
I think so.
So he just poured out mathematics. To what extent means, in 1910, he wrote mathematics or the mathematical structures for black holes, describing black holes, when there was no concept of black hole in the scientific community. See, in science, first the concept, then the theory, then the math. But he wrote the math when there was no theory, when there was no concept, he just wrote the math. He was dying of tuberculosis, he sat on his deathbed and simply poured out bookfuls of mathematics. People asked, where is this coming from? He said, my Devi, my goddess, bleeds mathematics. These are his words. Because he is using that deity to open up a window to the existence. I am a living example of that. Just opening up a window and suddenly everybody thinks you know everything, you don't know a damn thing. You just opened a window and you looked out and you're just talking whatever you see there. So these deities came up like this to serve different purposes of human life. Different energy forms were created. There is a whole science of consecration. It's a very powerful science. You must come and experience. There is one here at the Tennessee Center. If you come to India, it will just blast you in the face, you don't have to believe anything. It is not by belief. Just the very energy there is like that because these are consecrated spaces created for specific purposes. To teach yoga, we consecrate one way, to make other experiences happen. This Dhyana Linga means it's a meditative form. Without any instruction, people will become meditative. No instruction, no previous experience, they come and sit down thinking they will sit for 5 minutes, they will simply sit for an hour, 2 hours. Recently somebody came, just before I came here, in the month of March. One man came from Himalayas, he just sat down in the temple in the morning, when 6 o'clock when the temple opens, evening 8 o'clock, he was still sitting there. He just didn't move. So people got scared, he may leave his body. They came to me, Sadhguru, this man has not opened his eyes since morning, he just sat there over 12 hours, he's not moved an inch, he's simply sitting there. Then I knew who it is, I said, don't bother, just go and whisper to him, Sadhguru will see you tomorrow morning, he'll wake up. So because the energy itself is meditative, you don't have to know anything, it makes you like that. So this is a science that was explored profoundly and we created forms. You won't believe, there are tribes of thieves. You know, you've heard of the Pindaris and others in India, who are bandit tribes. They have their own gods and goddesses. Before they go on their thievery, they have their gods who will assist them in that. They created that kind of energy for themselves. This is like creating any other instrument. You have a science and technology, you can make wonderful life-saving instruments out of it, or you can make a gun out of it, you can make anything out of it, you could have made anything out of it. So people made various deities for different purposes in their life. But this thing about this is the god never existed in the country or in that culture. This is why this is one culture which constantly taught people that your life is your karma. You've heard of that word, that's become an English word now. Karma means your action. Physical action, mental action, emotional action and energy action. These 4 dimensions of activity you're constantly performing. Over 99% of it is unconscious. See, from the moment you got up today morning till this moment, these 4 dimensions of activity, your physical activity, your mental activity, your emotional and energy activity, how much percentage of it are you performing consciously? Believe me, it's way below 1%. When 99% is unconscious, life will be accidental. When life is accidental, anxiety is natural. When anxiety becomes your way of existence, now fear is the key, you'll just about believe anything. You're ready to believe anything. You're just trying to hold on to something that gives you some comfort, some solace, something to make you feel like you're standing safe.
So, all these people are going to go home tonight. What is it that they most either should take away or can do differently even before they get to visit you in Tennessee, that you think is the indispensable piece of what you have to say to them, at least as a beginning lesson for those who aren't further along the path?
There are two aspects to everything that I do. One is there is a spiritual dimension which can be transmitted in many different ways. There is a mystical dimension. Mysticism has no purpose. Mysticism is just pure exploration. It has no purpose. But this is the nature of human intelligence. Even if there's no purpose, this intelligence wants to know. This is the nature of human intelligence. If you release people from their daily concerns and fears, believe me, every human being will want to know everything in the universe. Right now, their day-to-day nonsense is keeping them busy. Their psychological and physiological drama is keeping them busy all the time. If they had no concerns, everybody would pay attention to everything and want to know everything. Mysticism has no utility. It is simply like pure science, you just want to know. Well, your life becomes profound, but it has no application as such. How can I go out on the street and use my mysticism? There is no such thing. Spiritual process has a certain use to your own emancipation, your own liberation, your own freedom that you achieve within yourself. In that sense, if you must take away because we are in America, you must take away something. When you die, what will you take away? I want to know. Hello?
As you said, we'll find out when we get there, I don't know.
So, if you must take away, tonight before you go to bed, spend at least 12–15 minutes reminding yourself, you're neither this body nor this mind. Just lie down and just remind yourself, this body is not really you. Do you know, if you live for about 60 years, on an average, most human beings are eating anywhere between 1100 to 1400 tons of food. So that means even what you think is my body is not this, it's changing every day. New input is happening and old things are going away. So 1400 tons, you don't carry that much of weight right now. So obviously, what you have as a body right now is just a transient amount of food and soil, isn't it? Hello? So what you think is mine also is not it is just all the time changing. So at least try this much. What is my body is not me. What I think is my mind is not me. It is mine right now for use, but it's not really me. Just, if you're not able to do it, just link it to your breath. Inhalation, I'm not the body. Exhalation, I'm not even the mind. Just lie down for 12 minutes and do it, till the last moment, till you fall asleep. This is something you must notice. Most human beings, when I say most, I'm very generous with the percentage, 99%. 99% of the human beings never notice that moment when they're slipping from wakefulness to sleep. They will simply go off like that. If they're alert, they cannot sleep. But there is a way to sleep in an alert manner. If you sleep like that, one thing that'll happen to you is, your sleep quota, if you're sleeping for 8 hours, it'll simply drop to 3 to 4 hours just straight away.
In synagogue, I sometimes see people sleeping in an alert manner, actually. It's not…
No,
that's not uncommon.
No. That comes with practice. No, that moment when you're passing from wakefulness to sleep, if you can still be conscious that I am not the body and I am not the mind, believe me, something remarkable will happen.
I wanna acknowledge that it is my impulse, and you said this is America, so we have to have a takeaway. It is my impulse to ask you always what to do, and it is your way to talk not so much about the doing as it is about the larger perspective that you're trying to get to. But it's hard sometimes for us to get there without something that we are comfortably concrete?
See, what are the instruments to be? That's what people are asking. There is a difference between being and doing. Doing is related to our body or our thought process or our emotion, or maybe even energetically you can do certain things. But being is not connected to any of these things because all these things you accumulate from outside. So a dimension which is not physical in nature, you don't do anything with it, there's nothing to do with it. It is just that if you, in your awareness, in your consciousness, if what is you and what is not you, there is a little space between you and your body, between you and your mind. If a little space arises, suddenly this is the end of suffering in your life. Because you know only two kinds of suffering, physical suffering and mental suffering. Do you know any other kind of suffering? Hello? Even if you're an expert in the field, still you don't know any other kind of suffering, isn't it? Physical and mental. Once there's a little space between you and the body and you and the mind, this is the end of suffering. Only when there is no fear of suffering will you naturally want to walk full stride, wanting to know every dimension of life. When there is fear of suffering, you walk half steps. You only want to do what is safe. And there is nothing safe in this world except dying. Life, anything can happen.
And on that beautiful note, we want to thank our guest, Sadhguru.